Hello everybody, my name is Ashley and I hope you're all doing well. Today I will be presenting my Help for the Homeless story map. Let's picture the problem. During cold nights, there is only one place we would most likely want to be in. Home, of course. During those scorching hot days, all we would want to be in is some place that provides an AC. To us, this may seem like simple solutions, and we may often take them for granted. But have you ever thought about the people who don't have these privileges? What about the homeless? Where will they run when it's freezing cold or scorching hot outside? If we're hungry, most of the time it only takes a few steps towards the fridge. How many steps does a person who is homeless have to take till they can eat after starving for days? To them, a warm meal could mean twice as much as it means to us. A sip of water to them can seem like the end to dehydration. Many of the times we make assumptions about people who are homeless without putting ourselves into their shoes. They may do things that seem unexplainable to us, but 75% of the time, it's because they feel desperate for food or drink. Now let's talk about COVID-19. This is a highly contagious virus that has changed the way things function everywhere in the world. Schools, businesses, and restaurants were all shut down. To us, this might seem devastating, but to the homeless, COVID-19 is horror on top of horror. Being quarantined and doing online learning to me seemed like such a bummer until I realized that there are people out there who don't have a place to keep shelter. They are exposed to the virus 24/7 with little or absolutely no protection. When they get sick, they don't even have the money or medical care protection to get attended by a hospital. They have to care for themselves on their own. Now that all of this is answered, what can we do to help these people? Unsheltered homeless people. This problem might seem very simple to solve, but let's take a look at the numbers. According to theconversation.com, California is the state with the most unsheltered people in the US. Come to find out, most of these people are in the county of Los Angeles. 68% of our homeless population is unsheltered. So what is California doing differently? Well, according to theconversation.com, when we compare the amount of money that Los Angeles spends on one homeless person annually to other states, we can see a big difference. New York City, where there is a legal right to shelter, spends approximately $17,000 person per year on homeless services. Massachusetts spends approximately $14,000 per year. Los Angeles, by contrast, spends approximately $5,000 per person. As you may see, the numbers have a huge difference. This might be the reason why there are so many unsheltered people in LA than in any other place. More funding can probably be one solution to help these people find their way out of the streets. This map demonstrates how many homeless people are unsheltered in the LA County. To the right, we can see that the darker the area is shaded purple, the more homeless people are unsheltered. The few areas in which you may see a lighter or no purple at all are places in which you may find homeless people who are sheltered or just no homeless people at all. Sheltered homeless people. It is important that we understand the severity of this problem. Something that we have already tried doing is creating shelters that provide resources for these people, such as a roof, a bed, and meals. There are, of course, these are, of course, the most essential things that a person would most likely need. If we take a look at the numbers, we can see that there is a very little amount of homeless people that are actually sheltered. In some places, there are absolutely no people sheltered, and this is not because there aren't any homeless people, but because these places aren't provided with the resources for these people. These places may actually not have any shelters to receive any unsheltered people. For the places that do have shelters installed, it is known that they set high barriers for homeless people to be attended and cared for. This map demonstrates how many homeless people in the LA County are actually sheltered. The places on this map that are marked with a dark purple color are the few places in which there are the most sheltered people. As the purple becomes lighter and lighter, the amount of people that are sheltered in this area is fewer and fewer. This is until you can see areas where there is absolutely no purple shading at all. Shelters for the homeless in LA. This problem has already been brought to our attention before, and that's why there are currently some shelters that are up and working to help these homeless people. According to kids4.org, these shelters often provide feeding, shelter, distribution of basic necessities, education, employment, rehabilitation. These shelters are of great help and often fairly needed by homeless people. But how much of these resources does Los Angeles provide for its people? On the map on the next slide, we may see that these shelters are limited and can be counted without losing track fairly easily. There are very few amounts of shelters to help these people. Perhaps adding more of these resources in the city can be of great help for these people. Some of the points seen on this map are the locations in the LA County in which shelters for homeless people are located. The rest are services that are provided to them. Now that the city should come together to figure out the appropriate solution, the facts shown by this map give a more clear understanding of how much really needs to be done in certain places. They give us a much more specific idea of what we need to improve. A difference won't be seen into the street sidewalks are clear and every person has a roof to cover their heads. Thank you for listening to my presentation.